sustainable weight loss. We're doing a presentation on the 3 pillars of sustainable weight loss. That's going to be brought to us by Jyoti Mirani, who's the team lead for our 1,000 Women Campaign exercise regimen team. And so, you know, she has her own business, Fit for Life with Jyoti. She's trained in nutrition and as well as fitness. And so it's always a pleasure. And we are honored to have her to give us some jewels tonight and for us to really be able to, you know, ditch the fad diets and the exercise schemes and just really make that lifestyle change. So without further ado, I'm turning it over to Jyoti.
Thank you so much, Annette. And thank you for that introduction. You know, this is totally, you know, we're talking about sustainable weight loss. And a lot of times, a lot of us get stuck in those fat diets and we're doing this yo-yo dieting where we get on a diet, we lose weight, we get off the diet, we put the weight back on, and we just keep going through that cycle. And we just want to stop that and be healthy and happy and you know, be able to do all the things that we want to do in life and be happy with the way we look and feel, right? So with that, I'm going to start sharing with you my presentation. Let me just... 1 second, let's see. Okay, are you able to see my presentation on your screen?
No.
Anyone?
We see a black screen.
No.
Are you able to see my presentation? Let's see what's going on here.
Well, while we're working on those technical difficulties, Stephanie, would you please share us with the announcements that we're going to do at the end?
Sure. Just so everyone knows, first of all, welcome to SestraNow's Workshop Wednesday. And I just want to make a few administrative announcements so that you know, in September, we will be having 2 workshops. As you know, currently we have 4 workshops that are scheduled. And so going forward, we will have 2 workshops every month. And also we want to let you know the next 1,000 Women meeting will be on August 30th, and it will be for 30 minutes. So we will begin to have 2 1,000 Women campaign meetings and 2 workshop Wednesdays monthly. Okay, so please continue to take a look at our event calendar to stay updated on events that are coming up. And that way you can check to confirm the dates and times of all of our events so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much. Jyoti, please.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are you able to see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Sorry about that, but we are online now. Awesome. So today's workshop is talking about the 3 pillars of sustainable weight loss. And these are the most important pillars in weight loss. And let me just start here. This workshop is brought to you by the exercise regimen team, as Annette had mentioned. Our mission is to get our sestras moving and exercising so we can be healthy, strong, energized, and confident. Now, although we are the exercise team, I'm going to be talking about more than just exercise today, because you know, most of the time when people come to me, they want to exercise to lose weight, but there's more to losing weight than exercising. So this is what we're going to kind of go into today and talk about the 3 critical things that you need to focus on in order to lose weight. So just a quick tidbit about myself. Annette had done a little introduction. Just want to share why I have the privilege of talking to you about weight loss today. I am a certified personal trainer as well as a certified nutrition coach, and I have over 8 years of experience. I work mostly with women over 35 to help them lose weight, feel energized, feel strong, and capable. And I am also the team lead for the SestraNow exercise team. All right, so let's get into the 3 pillars of sustainable weight loss. So these are the 3 pillars. The first one is the calorie deficit. Second one is strength training. And the third is habits. So all 3 of these are really important. However, the first one, calorie deficit, is going to be the most critical one. Calorie deficit is talking about, mostly we're going to be talking about what you are eating, because you're going to find out that, exercise doesn't really burn as much calories as we think it does. So we really need to change our nutrition in order for us to lose weight. Now, the first pillar, calorie deficit, if you just do that one pillar by itself, you can absolutely lose weight. If you are doing strength training or following good habits without being in a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. So that being said, the calorie deficit is the most critical piece here. And strength training and habits are what's going to help you support that weight loss and help you maintain it in the long term. So I'm going to go into each of these individually and talk to you about how they will benefit you and how you can take some action starting today to start working on each of these pillars. So let's go into the calorie deficit. Now, before we talk about a calorie deficit, you need to understand the energy balance in our bodies. So our bodies require energy to function. We get this energy from foods that we eat. So we eat food, we get energy, and now our body has to use that energy to perform different functions, right? And there's 4 different categories of ways that our body actually uses this energy. So I'm going to go through that a little bit because it's important to know how our body is using the energy so that we can help to balance, help to create the calorie deficit that we need to lose weight. So energy being used throughout the day, this is called the total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. So there's 4 categories to this. The first is the BMR, which is the basal metabolic rate. This is how your body uses energy to just function your body. So think about your heart beating, respiration when we're breathing, think about digestion. These are things that your body has to do that is out of your control, but it's always performing those things and it needs energy to perform that. So even if a person is in a coma, for example, they would still be using energy to keep their body alive, right? So this is the BMR. And this is using about 70% of the energy that we consume into our body. So the food that we eat provides energy. 70% of the energy from the food is being used to just help your body function. That's the first category. Second category is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. This is all movement that you do throughout your day, which does not include exercise. So think about like when you're fidgeting, if you're pacing, you're doing housework, you're going up and down the stairs, sitting on the couch, getting up. Those are all movements, walking, that require some energy. The third category is the physical activity or the exercise or the workouts that you do. Now, this is a very small portion of how your body uses energy. And there's a misconception. A lot of people think that exercise is what burns the most calories, but that is not true. Exercise usually just ends up burning about 10% of the food or the calories that you are consuming. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I had such a big dinner, I had dessert, I need to go exercise that food off. You're not going to be able to do that. That balance is not going to be there because exercise really does not burn that many calories. And then even your fitness trackers like Fitbits or Apple Watch, if they're keeping track of like your exercise that you're doing, it's actually not very accurate. It tells you that it's burning a lot of calories, but it usually isn't burning nearly as much as it's showing you. So it's a little unreliable. And then the third way that our body uses energy is the thermic effect of food. This is when our body is digesting foods, it uses energy. So for example, we eat proteins, fats, and carbs. Those are the macronutrients, and it requires energy to digest them. And protein is one of those foods that requires the most energy to get digested. So that's why you'll hear when people are trying to lose weight, they always recommend you eating more protein because it burns more calories. So I know I gave you a lot of information. I talked all about how your body burns calories. So let's talk about what this means in real life now, right? So we want to understand the energy balance. We eat food, we get calories, right? Energy. And then we burn that for bodily functions. So if you are in a maintenance, which means that you are eating as many calories as you are burning, then you are not going to gain weight or lose weight because you're at a maintenance level. Now, for example, let's put numbers to it. If my body burns 2,000 calories to function in a day and I eat 2,000 calories, then I'm going to maintain my weight. Now, if we are in a negative energy balance, meaning that we are eating less than we are burning, then we are in a calorie deficit, which means that you are eating less energy than you are using up throughout the day. So your body is going to require more energy. So let me put numbers to that. If your body needs 2,000 calories to function and you are eating 1,600 calories, now there's 400 calorie deficit. So your body still needs that energy, right? The 400 calories. What it's going to do is it's going to take the body fat that's stored in your body. It's going to take that and use it for energy. And that's how we start losing weight, right? With the calorie deficit. Now, the opposite is true also. If you are eating more than you are burning, you're in a surplus and you're going to gain weight. So if you find that, I'm gaining weight, I'm exercising, I don't know why, you are gaining weight because you are eating more calories than you are burning. Putting numbers to that again, if you're burning 2,000 calories and you are eating 2,400 calories, you have a surplus of 400 calories. And if you're not using that up to function, it's just those calories are just going to get stored in your body as fat. And that's how we gain weight. Okay, so we want to make sure that we are in an energy deficit in order to lose the weight. So how do we determine what our calorie deficit should be? First of all, you need to determine how much calories or how many calories your body needs to function, right? An easy way for you to do that, you can do that today, is go to www.tdeecalculator.net. I have it up on the screen here. If you go there, it's going to ask you some questions about yourself, like how old you are, how tall you are, how much you weigh, your activity levels. It takes all that into consideration, and it gives you a number of what your total daily energy expenditure is. So for example, if yours is 2,000, then we want to create a deficit from that. So you want to eat less than 2,000 calories in order to start losing weight. I usually recommend doing like a 20% reduction. So 2,000 calories, multiply that by 0.8, that gives you 1,600 calories. So to start losing weight, you want to eat 1,600 calories. Your body requires 2,000. So it's going to need that 400 extra calories, and it's going to start using the stored fat to help you function and start losing weight. Does that make sense? Like any questions regarding that? I gave a lot of information there.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Stephanie.
So will you get like weak and faint for lack of that 400 calories?
No, so we want to make sure that we're not eating so little, or we're not like reducing our calories so much that we are in such a deficit that we start, passing out or stuff, right? A lot of times, like if you're using like MyFitnessPal or any of those, even I've seen a lot of influencers on Instagram, if they're telling you that you need to eat like 1,200 calories, which is what most of those apps are going to put you at. Like if you say that you want to lose weight really fast, if I come on and say I want to lose 20 pounds in this 1 month, it's going to put you on a drastic deficit, meaning like, let's say you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories. It might tell you you need to eat 1,200, and that's very low for you. And that means you're going to be starving. You're going to be having cravings because you're hungry and you're not getting enough food. So I like to just give you a reduction of 20%. than what you need. So it's not a lot. You're just eating 400 calories less, which is like a croissant is 400 calories, right? So you will not pass out from not eating a croissant, right? But if you know, it's telling you that you need to skip breakfast and lunch to hit the 1200 calories, you're eating very little food, then yes, that's not safe for you. And then it also messes up your metabolism, right? It kind of slows things down. So the healthy way is to just give yourself like a 20% reduction in the calories from your total daily energy expenditure. Does that
Will you
answer your
touch on
question?
that? It does, but will you touch on why you say it slows your metabolism? Maybe toward the end. Maybe you're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so absolutely. Well, I can cover that now because I may forget later, and it is relevant to what we are talking about right now. So when we talk about metabolism slowing down, our bodies are very adaptive, right? They respond to what you are doing with it, right? So if you're giving your body very little food and it sees that, it's like, okay, I'm not getting a lot of food, so I need to make sure that I'm conserving this energy because I'm not getting a lot of energy in. So in order to conserve, it starts to slow down the metabolism. So it starts kind of slowing down your bodily functions. It starts, changing your hormones so that you're not using up as much energy as you need. And that's why you'll notice when you're not eating a lot of food, your energy levels go down as well because your body's just starting to slow down so that it doesn't burn up all those calories really fast. So now what happens sometimes is if we are on a diet for a long period of time, like eating very little calories, like if you're eating 1200 calories all the time, your body slows down and you're going to hit a plateau. So you may lose weight initially, but you're eventually going to hit a plateau because your body adapts to that. So we need to make sure that we kind of kickstart it again. I call this a reverse diet. And this is something that, if you've been on a diet for a long time, we need to make sure that we bring your calories up before we start bringing them down again, because we want to make sure that your metabolism is working well. So that's why we talk about metabolism slowing down. It's just that it gets adapted to whatever you are doing. Does that answer your question, Stephanie?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So before we move on from calorie deficit, I did mention that this is the critical piece from those three pillars, right? I want to touch a little bit about on fad diets like keto or intermittent fasting or not eating any sugar or paleo, because a lot of people say, okay, you want me to count calories? That's a lot of work. Why don't I just do keto? I know people that have lost 10, 15 pounds in a month, easy, or you may have done it yourself. Why not just do that? Well, here's the thing. Most diets, they work because they're putting you in a calorie deficit. So if you think about it, like keto, you're cutting out carbs, right? You're eating fats and some protein, but cutting out carbs is what most people overeat anyways. But if we are cutting out carbs, you're essentially eating less calories, which is putting you in a calorie deficit, which results in weight loss. If we talk about intermittent fasting, it's usually like you fast for 16 hours, right? And you eat in an 8-hour window. Usually means that you're skipping breakfast, so you're skipping a meal, you're eating less calories, puts you in a calorie deficit, and you're losing weight. Same thing with no sugar. You eat no sugar, you're eating less calories, you're in a calorie deficit, you lose weight. So all of these diets are just based on a calorie deficit, but they're putting food rules around it. And you start thinking that you're losing weight because you're following these rules, like you're not eating carbs or you're not eating sugar, and that's the only way to lose weight. And that is absolutely not true. As long as you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight and you can eat whatever you want. If you like eating dessert, you can eat it, but we want to manage it so that we're not going over our calories that we are planning to eat for the day, right? So again, food rules are not necessary to lose weight, because let's face it, when we are doing these food rules, it's a temporary diet, right? You can't keep doing keto for the rest of your life. When you start eating carbs again, you're going to go into a calorie surplus and you're going to gain weight. and that's what happens. So instead, let's focus on being in a deficit instead of, following these food rules and cutting out food groups and different foods and things like that. This way we can be satisfied. We can eat the foods we like. We can eat ethnic foods if that's what you're used to, and still lose weight and be able to maintain it. So this is why I'm not a fan of fad diets, you guys.
Tika Ann had a question.
Yes, Tika, what's up?
What do you recommend to use to track your calories? Because every time I start, I stop.
Yeah. So here's the thing about counting calories. So this is giving us an idea of, getting into a calorie deficit. And to be honest with you, with most of my clients, they do not need to count calories specifically. I like to use a hand method, which kind of makes it easy, and it's estimating estimating the number of calories that you're eating just by using your hand. So it's a lot easier to keep track. Like, for example, I can say protein is the size of your palm. And that's about 24 grams of protein estimated. If you eat 4 to 5 palm-sized protein portions throughout the day, that's going to get you your protein for that day. I can tell you how much to eat of carbs in a cupped hand and fats by the size of your thumb, right? So this way we're not sitting there weighing every gram, measure using tablespoons and scales and all that, because most times people don't have the time to do that or the patience to do that. Sometimes people become obsessive in doing that as well. So you don't need to use an app to do this. You can just keep track of like palm-sized portions if that makes it easier for you. So Tika, and you mentioned that, the apps are not working, you kind of fall off track. I would say try using like a hand portioning guide, and I can give you an idea of, how much to eat for your body size. The nice thing about that is our hands are all proportional to our bodies. And, a palm size of protein for me is going to be different than a palm size protein like from my husband, who's like 6 feet tall. I'm like 5'1", right? So his palm size is the right amount for him. My palm size is the right amount for me. But if you do want to use a app for tracking, there's, MyFitnessPal is a great app. Calorie Counter. There's so many of them out there that basically do the same thing. But I would say that if you are keeping track of your calories, then you should be weighing. You should not be eyeballing, because we always underestimate when we eyeball, myself included.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we move on to the second pillar? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, feel free to ask along the way if any questions do come up. I'm going to go into the second pillar, which is strength training. So yay for the exercise team here. As I mentioned, the first pillar, calorie deficit, is going to help you lose the weight. But strength training is going to help you support that. And I'm going to talk to you about why now. When we lose weight from two things, either losing fat and or losing muscle. So as ladies, especially as we get over 30, we start losing muscle mass. And we want to make sure that we keep our muscles so that we can be strong and capable and independent, do all the things that we love to do in life, as well as function, right? So we want to keep our muscle. We want to lose the body fat and hold on to the muscle. So if you are not strength training and you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight by losing fat and muscle. So in order to maintain that muscle, we do want to strength train while we are in a calorie deficit. This is going to make sure that you are maintaining your muscle, and it's going to help you to have a nice shapely body versus just being, if you're losing muscle and fat, you just end up being a smaller version of yourself. If you've noticed someone who's lost a lot of weight, you look at them and sometimes you're like, wow, they lost a lot of weight, but they still don't quite look healthy. Like they look like they're, they slimmed down a lot. Sometimes, you notice that their face is looking too thin and they don't look that healthy. That's because they're also losing muscle. So we want to make sure that we are maintaining that muscle so we have a nice, strong body and a nice shape, give our body a nice shape to it. So strength training is important Now, cardio, I'm going to talk about that because a lot of people think that you need to do cardio to lose fat. And yes, it does help to lose fat, but cardio also loses muscle. So there's a place for cardio, absolutely. If you enjoy doing it, go for it. It's great for your heart health, your respiratory system, and all that. But it is not the best way to lose fat. So, when you are thinking about exercise to lose fat, I would rather you think about doing strength training than cardio. And of course, add in the cardio if you enjoy it and if you need to do it for your health. So, another benefit is when we have more muscle on our body. Muscle requires energy to grow and to maintain itself. So it just helps us with that extra calorie burn. And it, continues to do that even hours after you exercise. As long as you have that muscle on your body, you're going to kind of increase your metabolism a little bit and increase that energy burn, helping you to burn more calories and lose weight quicker. So
I have a question, Jyoti.
yeah.
I went on that site that you said to calculate. So it calculated what I need to maintain. Do you have a site that can tell me how many calories I need to be taking in to lose?
Yeah, so to do that, on that site, it will give you a number, but here's the thing. They are giving you a drastic cut, which is going to leave you hungry and it's going to be kind of hard to follow. So that's why I say we want to do a 20% reduction from that number. So an easy way is take that number, Annette, that you got and multiply it by 0.8. So basically you're going to be eating 80% of that, meaning you have a 20% reduction. So would you mind sharing the numbers with us, Annette, if you're okay with that? Like, what is your maintenance?
My maintenance, okay, my maintenance is, where is it? 2,248 calories.
2,248. So we're going to just round that up to 2,300. And then we're going to multiply that by 0.8. So in order to lose weight, Annette, you would need to eat 1,800 calories.
Okay.
Okay. So if you are eating around 2,300, you will maintain your weight. We want that little reduction that's going to help you to lose weight.
Okay,
Now, if you're not losing weight and you're not gaining weight, you're eating around that much. And sometimes people will say, I'm eating so little and I'm still not losing weight. Chances are you're eating more than you think. Usually the foods that we are eating have more calories than we think they do. So that's why kind of keeping track is important, even if it's on a piece of paper and not in a food tracker. It's going to be key to really seeing what you are eating. And once we become aware, that's when we can start making some changes, right? Does that answer your question, Annette?
Yeah, thank you. That was the piece that so you took that, I got it. So you take the
Yeah,
number.
just multiply it by 0.8
By
and that's the number you want to hit.
Okay.
Awesome. So strength training, just getting back to that, when you are doing strength training, there's 3 things that I need you to focus on when you are trying to, you're in that calorie deficit. The first is doing compound movements. These are movements that use multiple joints, that just uses more energy and more muscles. So think about movements like deadlifts, squats, bench press, rows. They're using multiple muscle groups, and it's going to help you burn more calories. And then in terms of reps, we want to do like 3 to 12 reps. Usually with my ladies that I work out with, I program for them to do 10 to 12 reps. So you're using like medium to heavy dumbbells for this. We're not using like 2 to 3 pounds because, such lightweight is not really going to help you build strength. It's going to be more cardio for you. So we really want to push ourselves to lift a little bit heavier so that we can build those muscles. And then the third piece of strength training that you want to focus on is progressive overload. And that's just a fancy way of saying you want to keep challenging yourself each week. So for example, this week, let's say you're doing squats and you're using 50 pounds. Next week, you want to push yourself to go a little bit heavier. So maybe you go 55 pounds, or maybe you slow down the movement so that it's taking you longer to finish that squat, or maybe you pause. But one way or another, you want to increase that challenge because as I mentioned before, our bodies adapt very quickly to things. If you continue doing the same weight over 8 weeks, your body's going to adapt to it and there's going to be no change. So you always want to keep challenging yourself with weights or your tempo. Any questions with strength training before we get to the last pillar?
Why is everything so hard? Why does it have to be such a challenge? Maybe that's not really a question. It's just, anyway, please proceed.
Yeah, well, it is hard when we're kind of talking about all of this at once. Usually when I am working with people, we kind of take it piece by piece. And if you take a small piece at a time, it's a lot easier to digest and a lot easier to start kind of implementing it instead of doing it all at once, because it's overwhelming for anybody. It's a lot, right? So let's just break it up into smaller pieces and we just keep building and being consistent with that. And you will see results as you keep being consistent.
And that's why you don't believe in quick fad diets, because it's a process. This is
It's a
the point of tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the next pillar is about, actually. The next pillar is habits, because you can be in a calorie deficit, you can lose the weight, but if you do not have good, healthy habits set up in your life, then you're just going to fall back to your old ways eventually, right? So we want to make sure that we're creating habits because they ensure long-term success. So once you lose the weight, you're going to maintain it, right? And the habits become a part of your life. And habits include, like, we talked about protein, right? Eating protein with each meal. Protein is filling, it's satisfying, it takes more energy to digest it, and it helps you build your muscles. So if you can just make sure that you're getting protein with each meal, that's a healthy habit that you've already added in to your lifestyle. Adding in more vegetables, they're also filling, they're low in calories, so you can eat a lot of it and feel fuller without adding calories into your diet. Strength training, I've included this as a habit and as its own pillar because it is important, but you want to make sure that you're getting those strength training workouts throughout the week, at least 3 times a week. That would be great. We want to also have a habit of like getting in steps, like 10,000 steps a day. This adds to that non-exercise, movement. The more you do, the more calories you're burning. And then of course, sleeping. If we're sleeping well, 7 to 9 hours, we get our hormones working well, which keeps our metabolism kind of chugging along and working well and being efficient as well, using up all the energy that we're taking in, burning it off so we're not storing it. So building these healthy habits is going to help you make sure that you lose the weight and keep it off for good without feeling like it's work all the time, right? Because think about when you're brushing is a habit, right? You brush in the morning, you brush at night before you go to bed. You're not thinking about it like, oh God, I got to brush today. In 5 hours, I'm going to brush. You're not thinking about it. It's just something that you do. So hopefully these habits that I mentioned, if you can start building them into your life, that you're not thinking about it, it's just something automatic that you're doing. It takes off that stress and it takes off that overwhelm, right?
I have a question. I was told that if 10,000 K steps keeps you to maintain your weight, but when you want to start losing weight, you need to do 14,000 or more. Have you ever heard that?
I hear a lot of stuff, but here's the thing. Again, it's back to that energy balance, right? So if you are eating like 3,000 calories, so in that you were supposed to eat 2,300, right, to maintain.
No, I wasn't supposed to be eating that much, but that's that, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm just using it as an example that if you are eating like 3,000 calories, even if you walk 14,000 steps, there's no way you're going to burn off those extra 700 calories to help you lose weight. So there's more to it than just, getting the steps in. You want to make sure the calorie deficit, the biggest bang for your buck is just going to be coming from the food that you're eating and making sure that you are just eating enough. We're not like going overboard and we're not starving ourselves, right? So being in that 20% calorie deficit is going to help you to reduce the calories more than, doing that extra 4,000 steps a day is going to get you. Honestly, that's just another like maybe 100 calories that you're going to be burning if you're just walking 14,000 steps. It's not a lot. So it's really the food that you need to kind of focus on. And as I mentioned, just being in that calorie deficit is what's going to get you to lose weight. You could just stay in place and not do any exercise, and you will lose weight if you are in a calorie deficit. Now, if you are somebody who loves to walk and go hiking and you're getting the 14,000 steps, great. But, for an average person who's looking to lose weight slow and steady in a sustainable way, 10,000 steps a day is a great goal to keep.
So, Jyoti, would you say that the treadmill, the elliptical machine, and everything else that we use, where they have a calorie counter there, you're on there for 15 minutes and it says you've burned this amount of calories? Would you say those are also pretty inaccurate as just as the Fitbits?
They're pretty inaccurate. They usually tell you that you're burning more than you do. Now, vigorous exercise for like an hour, for example, like you're lifting weights, you're doing some, like, let's say you're doing a CrossFit workout, for example, right? Which is a strenuous workout. You probably burn at most 300 to 400 calories in that 1 hour. So now if you're walking on a treadmill, think for 20 minutes, if as a workout, it's really not going to be burning that many calories. It's going to be like 100, 150 calories. It's not a lot. Instead, it's a lot easier to maybe, instead of having a pint of ice cream, maybe just having a small bowl of ice cream, right? Like if you can reduce calories that way without like killing yourself at the gym, it's a lot easier to do that than it is to kind of spend hours and hours at the gym.
I have a question. What about, for me, like I'm just saying, let's say I serve my plate like I usually do, and then take it and cut it in half and eat half of what I normally do. That's a good way of getting into a deficit, right?
Yes, so it would be, but it depends how big your plate is. Are you satisfied after that, or are you still feeling hungry? Because if you are still hungry after that, what's going to happen is in another hour or so, you're going to be wanting some more food, and you'll probably start reaching for some snacks or something else, right? So, a good rule of thumb for a plate, I talked about the hand portioning, is a palm size of protein on your plate, and then 2 fists, like if you fist up your hand, like two fists of vegetables on your plate, and then 1 cupped hand of carbs on your plate. That would be a good measurement for a healthy plate for you. For
me, because of my size, or for anybody?
For anybody, because your hand is going to be, specific to your body size, right? Proportional to your body size. It's a good way to start, just to get going on this way of eating, going into a calorie deficit. Because we don't know, sometimes people pile up their plates really high, right? The portions are really big, and even eating half of it, depending on how many calories is in your plate, it could still be too much for you. Meaning that, like, let's say half of your portion you take, you might have 3 cupped hands of rice on that plate and a small amount of protein. So that's going to be too many calories for you.
Right. But what I'm asking is, because if you're saying in my situation, I should be taking in, I guess it does. I guess doing that app or whatever, that doesn't tell me what I should be eating. That's telling me what I need to eat to maintain. Right.
Yeah. So that number it's just telling you what you need to eat to maintain. But how much you're going to eat, again, you're going to reduce that, right? Take 20% off, and that's your goal. It's specific to each person. So, depending on how you want to break it up, like usually if you're using an app, it'll tell you, like, do you want to do low carb or high carb or low fat, high fat? Generally speaking, you want, like, for your calories, you want about 30% from protein, 35% from carbs, 35% from fats. Some people like to eat low carbs, so we can adjust those percentages according to what you like to eat. But I do recommend keeping your protein at 30%, just so you're getting enough protein to build your muscles and maintain your muscle. Does that make
Great.
sense? But a good place to start, Annette, is, getting 1 serving of protein, 2 fists of vegetables, a cupped hand of carbs on your plate for like lunch, breakfast, and dinner. And then you'll have, snacks too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So those are the 3 pillars that we were talking about. And, I ask here, which pillar will you start with? But I'm going to tell you, you need to start with the calorie deficit. Okay. That's where you're going to see the biggest bang for your buck in the weight reduction. And then, of course, strength training and building those good habits is what's going to help you maintain that and make it a easier process throughout this health journey of yours, right? And I know I gave you a lot of information, and it's like, okay, a lot of it already, perhaps, right? And what do we do with all this, right? So you don't know how to move forward with it. So I do a signature program called the Slim and Strong Solution. This is an 8-week group program where we talk about the nutrition programming for you individually, like what is your goal in terms of how many proteins you should eat, the palm size, how much carbs, how much fat for your body specifically. And we keep track of it daily. And so we can see what you're eating, what's working, what's not working for you. I also provide a fitness program, which is like 12 workouts with video instruction with the strength training. So you can do that at your convenience at home. You also learn to build those healthy habits for life. And then we have weekly group coaching calls where you have access to me. I teach you lessons on all the habits and stuff, and then answer any questions that you may have, any challenges that you're facing. And we have a private Facebook group. So this is just a way for you to start implementing these 3 pillars that we talked about. How do you, each person has specifics, right? Like, how many calories am I eating? Out of that, how much is going to be protein? How much is carbs? How much fat? We need to figure that out for you specifically. So in this group, this is a group program. It would be awesome if we can get, a few Sestras to join, and we can do this as like a community. But this is going to help you to kind of go through each of those pillars and make it a lifestyle change versus being overwhelmed with too much. And we take the baby steps, step by step. Each week we work on something new and we add it on while still practicing the things that we learned beforehand. So thank you for joining. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, about what we talked about. If you figure out your TDEE and you have further questions, I'm happy to address them. Anything else, anything fitness or nutrition related, I'm here. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, or you can email me. Please, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help out. Do we have any more questions for today?
I don't see any on Facebook. I don't see any in the chat because I guess we asked our questions as we went along. But if anyone that's on the Zoom has any questions, please. So I just want to say thank you so much for this information. This was very informative, and it's helpful. And as you know, we have an agreement. I start in September with your program, but I'm making a note to reach out to others to see if we can put together a group of Sestras where we can possibly do this together. So maybe when I start in September, I can get some others to join me and we can do it all together, because I think that will be best. And I want to let everyone know that Jyoti, her full information is on SestraNow's marketplace. Please visit www.sestranow.com, the marketplace tab, and she is there with her full contact information, so you can contact her. If you do not want to be a part of the group, you have any questions for her directly, you want to retain her for one-on-one, please do that. She is amazing, as you can see for yourself. So again, thank you, Jyoti. Thank you everyone else for joining us tonight. We do have one question here from Judelia. She says, is it true that we must soak nuts before eating them?
Yeah, so soaking nuts, it helps you to digest them better. So I would recommend soaking them if you have a chance to soak them. And there's different times for different nuts. Like, for almonds, I don't remember the exact time, but you soak them for 10 hours. Walnuts may need more, more soaking time. It just makes it easier for you to digest. It makes it easier on your gut. So that's what I've heard. Soaking nuts is helpful. To be honest with you, I don't usually soak them because I don't think that far ahead. And I'm not very good about it.
Princess said, including peanuts and cashew.
Yes, I've heard, I think cashews, they say there's a longer soaking time for them.
Okay.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that too. But if you're the kind of person that eats what you want, and you haven't been doing the things you want to do, I doubt that the things you're supposed to do to lose weight, which you know what you're supposed to do, I doubt very much you're gonna soak some nuts before you eat them, because you're probably not eating the nuts to begin with. But thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to conclude the meeting now. And again, please look for Jyoti on SestraNow's Workplace, and we will follow up with a post and to see if we can put together a group to start in September with her plan.
I think, Stephanie, that it would be so much fun. I think the groups work so well because we help motivate each other. Like thinking back to the step challenge that we did in SestraNow, we were just cheering each other on, and it helps to know that there's others doing the same thing and sharing ideas, and, just being in something together, being a part of a community is so helpful, and it's so much fun, especially if there's people that you like, right? Enjoy spending time with. It makes it so much more fun and not overwhelming. So I would love that if we can get a group going.
I agree. We're going to work on that. I'll talk to Annette about it, and we will reach out to see who's interested, and we'll get a group together, and that'll be great, because we have the women's conference is coming up November 22nd, and it would be great to show the progress that everyone's has made. I think that's enough time, right? September, October, November, that's enough time to see a difference. So it'll be nice to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Like the 8-week program, generally speaking, like if you're doing the work, 10 to 15 pounds is possible, absolutely possible in 8 weeks.
Wow.
But again, it's individual, right? So, no promises, but if you are putting in the work, you are going to start feeling better, start seeing the changes. And of course, you don't just finish at the 8 weeks. These are habits that you're building for life. So you're done and you graduate, and you get to continue, following these habits so that you continue losing that weight until you reach your goal.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jyoti.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Everyone.
Very informative. And
thank you, Jyoti. We loved it.
Very informative. Thank you.
We're gonna wrap it up now. Everyone on Facebook, we're gonna say good night. Thank you for joining us. And again, we will be in touch about that group, putting together that weight loss group, so we can all take advantage of her plans.
Yeah, if anyone's interested on Facebook, maybe they can comment that they're interested, and we can reach out to them.
Yes, please do. If you're on Facebook Live now, please comment. We'll check in the comments for anyone that's interested in joining us in September to put together a group.
Awesome. And on Facebook too, if you're watching the replay, type in replay. And if you watched live, type in live so that we know you watched and we can reach out to you. It's always nice to know who is there watching with us.
Yes. Or message Jyoti directly, Annette and I at any time to let us know that you're interested, because I believe this will be an ongoing thing for us. I don't think we're going to stop in September, especially the holidays are coming. We'll probably all do it again in January, regardless of what happens. All right. Good night, everyone. Again.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Good night.